Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rochelle Saldana, and I work in the client relation and technical support teams. And I'm here today to introduce Sandro Pereira, who really needs no introduction. In between his busy activities like work, blogging, traveling, speaking at events, parenting a newborn, and most recently, battling a stomach ailment. Phew, how does he do it all? He has prepared a talk today called BizTalk Server, Lessons from the Road. And without further ado, let's listen to what he has to say as he chronicles his experience as an external BizTalk Server consultant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandro.
So yeah, again, my name is Sandro Pereira. I will not speak too much about me. You have time to read my slides, but yeah, I'm this guy. This is my blog. You probably already have been there. And I work at Devscope, a small company in Portugal that I managed to be a sponsor also in this event. A small one, a simple sponsor, but yeah, still a sponsor. What I like to Devscope is I work not only with integration, but the full Microsoft stack. And we actually are 4 MVPs at the moment in the company and 1 regional director. So I can spread my wings and talk with other guys, other products, and have a better view of challenge that our clients faces. And of course, I will also bring gifts. Last year was stickers. This time I will have free license of Power BI robots and tiles. There are 2 products that you can connect your Power BI reports and dashboard and share with your teams in Outlook, PowerPoint, or in big screens. So tweet and you will get a chance to win a license. My talk is about real lessons from the road, some experience that I have during these years. And I actually create a Windows form asking what should I speak about with a nice flow behind and connecting a Windows form with Power BI using Microsoft Flow. And you guys decide. My talk will be about real case implementations, okay? So I prepare 8 stories for you. The first one is, again, we have this sentence in Portugal that if your favorite tool is a hammer, everything that you can see, every problems that you can face, you will try to solve it with nails, no? The same applies to technology, Sometimes we go to a client and the client asks BizTalk and they say, you need to do everything with BizTalk. Or logic apps, You have to do everything with logic apps or everything with BizTalk. And that's not really the case, There's a lot that you can use in an integration scenario, For example, the not to ETL process in BizTalk. Okay, that's you don't have a performance there, sometimes we say BizTalk is bad in low latency. I'm working a lot with API open banking, and we are using API management. We are using BizTalk on premise. And we are trying to use a lot of integration stack. And we were also trying to use logic apps inside. Logic app is even worse than BizTalk in low latency scenario. So you choose another options, and you went to API apps, for example. Logic apps is still using there, but in some most non-low latency performance implementation or process, If you are speaking about open banking, expect like 200 milliseconds response time. It's difficult to achieve that with logic apps. And we actually achieve that using API management and BizTalk on premise. So depending on the scenario, you should use the right tool for the job. I actually have clients that was using ETL process with BizTalk. Of course, they spent like 4 hours. We had put in SQL, and it done the job well done and faster. You see that in the first day, John asked a customer to be here explaining. They are using logic apps in a case, a good case for them. It was nice. And in the other case, they are using Service Bus and BizTalk. It's also working nice. No, depending on the challenge, you should use the right tool for the job. It's not BizTalk or Logic App, it's the integration layer. The integration layer is a huge amount of pieces, and you should have this in concern. No. Second, if you really believe that these tools are the best that you can deliver for your clients, you should run and keep pushing from them, okay? Believe in yourself, believe that your decision is right for your customer, but do not go like, I'm Microsoft, I will deliver all the tools from Microsoft to the clients. No, for me, at the end, it's the client that is paying my work. I need to deliver a good option to the client. If it's Microsoft tools, I'll be happy, okay? Because I'm only use Microsoft tools. But in some cases, if I need to go outside and use an external tool, I will use it, okay? But if you like these tools, you should fight for them. And fortunately, Microsoft did a good work, no? They create this concept of enterprise integration, and now we are in the leaders of the business, no? And some of our competitors need to find another excuse for not being there, no? So, lesson 3, GDPR. No, this is killing Europe. Everyone is concerned about GDPR. And this is all about communication, consent, access to the data, ratification, profiling, and warning, and erase data, and sensitive data, okay? Paul on stage told that BizTalk with Feature Pack 3, it will be GDPR compliant. That's only a marketing stuff, because BizTalk, in its essence, is already GDPR compliant. Now, messages will come in, messages will go to the message box, be consumed, go to the external server, and it's gone, okay? We don't keep information. We can keep tracking, but the jobs will clean that data after a while. So if a client wants to erase the data, they will be erased automatically, because BizTalk will not keep the data. We are the middleware, no? We are not in the business of keeping the data. So BizTalk, in its essence, it is GDPR compliant, okay? But your applications are not, okay? This is a different story, okay? So we are in the middle. We are subject to middleman attack, no? And if you are subject of that, someone can impersonalize another person, no? So we need to be careful. Stop configure passwords in clear text, no? Everyone sometimes is using config files or BTS config file to use passwords, and this can lead to access to sensitive data. So be careful, don't do that. Reduce the number of people that can remotely access to the machines. Because if they remotely access to the machine, they have access to your environment. They can check for event viewer, logins, blah, 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 a lot of things. So if you remove that access, limit to the access of the persons, you will be better prepared in terms of GDPR. And you can actually use tools like BizTalk 360 to allow you to do that. You completely remove the access to the environment, no? Stop exposing service in an anonymous way. Who here has an internal service in BizTalk that's anonymous? Almost everyone, no? Don't be afraid, me too. Stop doing that. At least do some authentication, because if it's anonymous, I can emulate requests and I will get access to sensitive information. No? If your process has sensitive data, reduce the message body tracking. So we will not track that data, so you will have less problems. No? Avoid using files, FTP adapters, and start using secure channels. For example, I have a client that uses everything is a file. If I have access to the remote machine, I have access to the files. Use a queue. You can implement some security. Use other stuff that it can be secure. File is not really secure. FTP is not really secure. No? So SQL supports always encrypted. If you are consuming or pulling data from SQL, you can actually encrypt that columns, and you can access it through BizTalk with that feature. No? So BizTalk will have plenty of features. Will have all the features for you to actually implement secure applications. And please stop logging everything. Every time I open a project, I see some custom logging to a log file or to event viewer with full message logging. You know, it's like that concept. What you want to log? Log everything. No? Then we will see later. Stop doing that, because if you are doing that, you will probably break some. You will log some sensitive information, and if people have access to that, you will probably be in a tough situation. So BizTalk is GDPR compliant, but your applications need to be careful about that. No? Lesson 4. So I ask, how many of you are installing feature packs? And most of the response was yes. And this is a good thing. I really like feature pack. This is the new roadmap for BizTalk. We don't actually need a new BizTalk version, because we actually are each time 3-4 months cadences. BizTalk and Microsoft is releasing a feature pack. So this will bring new capabilities. You don't need to wait another version of BizTalk to have new features. Microsoft tells that these are non-breaking features, okay? But sometimes they will break your applications, at least. Sorry, Microsoft. So this is a real case scenario, no? Behind this scenario, there are two things, one bad, one good. So I don't know if you already faced this problem. I had a recent project that was integrating with Civil, and this is the aspect of the Civil JSON message. They put a lot of empty space in the names or in the elements of the message, no? I don't know why. The problem is, like, out of the box with the default installation, BizTalk will not like that. It will fail, generate the file, because of the empty space. And by default installation, I actually refactored the Microsoft code, and Microsoft is pointing to the Newton JSON framework, but is an internal Microsoft Newton JSON DLL, sorry. And they are pointing for version 4.03. That is, of course, in GAC, okay? So for me to be able to process that JSON file, I had to go and recreate that component with some escape for removing the empty space or replace the empty space. So I was able to consume and process that JSON file. With Feature Pack 2, Microsoft did a great thing. No? They removed the JSON framework, no, DLL, sorry. They are now creating a BizTalk common JSON extension, and they are using the generic Newton JSON DLL. And this is more like the code that they are using. So very simple stuff. And it actually solved that problem. Now you can process and generate that JSON schema file. But unfortunately, Microsoft removed the version 0.3 from GAC. Now they are using version 0.10. So my code was also using not the Newton JSON DLL that Microsoft was using. So my code started to fail. I just had to copy and paste to DLL, and everything was working again. So please, Microsoft, don't remove nothing from GAC. GAC is there for that. It's creating new versions and add it there, no? Just keep it, and you are safe. They are norm breaking now. So be careful. Feature Park is great. Again, don't get me wrong. They are great, but sometimes they are not really non-breaking stuff. They will probably break something. So test it in your Q&A environment, dev environment, and then go to production. Safe, okay? Lesson number 5. Another question, do you normally install cumulative updates, no? And most of you are saying yes, and that's extremely good, no? So some people ask, installing cumulative update is good or bad, they will break something or not. Feature packs already broke my code. Cumulative updates never broke nothing to me. So I'm safer installing cumulative updates than feature pack. Again, don't get me wrong, you should install everything, okay? Because I really like new features, okay? So cumulative updates are good, and I will only give you one example. Everyone knows what is orphan instance, no? They are there in BizTalk. They are never gone away. They appear sometimes. I don't know why, but they appear. You know, it's like a mystery in BizTalk. And to remove it by Microsoft conditions, you should stop your environment, run the terminate tool that is now BizTalk Health Monitor, and execute some procedures, and you are gone. You are safe. No, done. Orphans deleted until they appear again. No? So I need to stop again my environment. This for me is horrible. I don't want to stop my entire environment just because I have orphan DTA service. I will never stop it. I use other strategies, but that's me, okay? I will not share it because it's not official. But lucky for us, cumulative update 1 from BizTalk Server 2016 or 2013 R2 or 2013 already fixed that problem for us. So you no longer need to stop your environment to kill DTAs, orphans instance, okay? They will be gone from time to time. It's actually quite good, no? So I don't know why Microsoft didn't make any buzz about this. They were saying like, yeah, we have new features like app inside, blah, 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 blah. Great stuff, don't get me wrong, but I prefer that one. Okay, at least it's safer for me. So yeah, you should always install cumulative updates. Be careful. Again, for safe side, install your dev environments, Q&A, and then go to production. Again, I never faced a problem with a cumulative update before. Lesson 6. So if you think about electronic invoice or ADI, or in invoice, you think about B2B, ADI, electronic message, and so on and so forth. And that is really the perfect scenario, you know, when you are laid down on the beach, drinking margarita, and something like that. Because my clients use paper, PDF, no? I have a lot of them using ADI, don't get me wrong again, but asking to a small company that they need to deliver me my message in the ADI format, they will not do that because they will not have probably the money to do that. And sometimes even big companies need to work with small clients. And they use PDF. So I went to a client that he was processing PDF invoice inside a pipeline component of BizTalk. Let's say that's not really a good story. You know? BizTalk is not an OCR platform. So let's see a demo now. Huh? How we, as a DevScope, implement and solve the problem of this client. This was something that they were processing, and so normal invoice or that people or try to do it with BizTalk, but most of the time will fail, or they are processing manually and inserting another system to be generated. We actually have, you can use, of course, any OCR client or program that is in the market. Fortunately, in DevScope, we have like a small and powerful OCR that is called Smart Documenter. And basically, it's more like BizTalk in the generic terms. You can set where the message will be, where the file is coming from, scanner, file, or other stuff like that. And you can create a flow saying what's the process of that file. Okay, go to revision, go to automatically integrate in the system, and so forth and so on. So in this case, I'm just putting my PDF inside the file. It's not that one, it's this one. And that it will be consumed by the OCR client. It will process and try to generate the data that is inside. Of course, we can also go to the scan document station, and it's open, and you can actually go from the scan station itself, and the process will be the same. So you have like multiple receive locations in terms of BizTalk language. And after that, it will go for a review station, and the file that I already processed, it automatically detects all the fields that I can specify. Of course, for being the safe side, I only specify a little ones, but this can be more and more and more. Of course, if it's a real case scenario, we'll have more data inside. And you see that I have the invoice number selected, and it's highlighted where it's picking up that file. It's important when you have an OCR system to have like a revision. Of course, then you can create some rules saying that if you have 99 confidence about the success of the OCR, you can automate and skip that review station. And again, we can process and say, okay, it's fine, and that's it. It will go, in this case, will go to a PDF, XML file in a folder. Of course, I don't have BizTalk installed here, so I pick up and to a different machine, and so basically, this will be the aspect of my file, something like that. And of course, I can then pick up, choose whatever I want. It can be a REST server, whatever. No, I have it digital in an electronic way. I can then send to my internal systems. Okay. So don't try to do crazy stuff in BizTalk. The BizTalk is not a tool for every scenario. No. If you do like OCR, you should use other tools, and then communicate with BizTalk, and then BizTalk will process that message. Okay, it's better. You give more and more quality to your clients. And of course, we see a little, just a little of that. This is more a real case that we implement. So, you know that we have more detail, more lines. You can customize, you can do that stuff, and you can process that stuff. I also was able to implement something like that. We have a PDF file with a list of records, and unfortunately there was a guy looking to that PDF and inserted manually each line in the system. We end up create, for example, a CSV file, just because the CSV file was easy to, in Excel, validate every line and the totals, and then we can actually process that file, okay? Lesson 7. Sequence Convoy. How much of you already implemented Sequence Convoy? It's a lot. I never implemented Sequence Convoy. Never. Not an aggregator, not a singleton. I always try to move from that patterns. They produce a lot of problems in BizTalk. They will probably produce orphan messages. You will always have an active orchestration. Never stop it. It's always there. You produce latency problems. I don't see any benefit of having this type of patterns, to be real, honest with you guys. And you may think, so how can I implement Sequence Convoy? You just need to look and try to redesign in a different way. For example, I implement Sequence Convoy with a design that I call like a re-entry process design or a synchronous process design. And with this type of approach, I actually can create sequence in BizTalk. I can scale. I no longer have a long-running orchestration that keeps alive forever and ever and ever. I don't have zombies or other crazy stuff like that. So let's see. This is just an example, okay? So this is the aspect of my sequence convoy orchestration. It's not a sequence, okay? It's okay, nice, awesome. Thank you, BizTalk. But you see that it's a normal orchestration that receives a message, processes a message, and sends to message box. And then we'll have other child orchestrations that consume each type of message that I want to implement and do the right job for that process, okay? Safe? Yeah? Yeah, there you go. So you see that actually is receiving from SQL. I can process different types of messaging. It's XML, JSON. It can be text file, you name it. Okay. I only implement two. It was a proof of concept, and then I process and I send to message box directly to message box. No, if I see that you are here, open my port. Send to message box, and you see that is a direct route to message box, okay? Please don't be like me. You never name it operation 1. Give proper names, okay? It's a proof of concept. It's not an excuse. I can do better than that, but don't do that, okay? You see that I actually have good names. Cast, persistent exception, promote, start orchestration. Keep it that way, okay? Good for documentation, no? And again, I will have something like, for example, create a client that, again, don't do this kind of orchestrations. okay? Just construct and send it. Don't do that. Get proof of concept. And don't do the expression one also. But yeah, you know the name. I'm consuming from the message box. I'm doing something and send to other systems. No? What I have behind my strategy is, I have. Let me close this one. I have a concept of a queue. That is, in this case, is a SQL table. I will actually have some metadata that I will add it on that table. So what is the process, what's the status of the project, these channel and entities are different concepts. It can be different, okay? Actually have the body of the message inside here. This should be encrypted, but again, proof of concept. Create time, data time, number of hit writes, and so on and so forth. So I can really do a lot of stuff here. And I have a status here. The end status is new message. The P is processing, and the I is integrated. And the U is undefined, unknown. Okay, I don't know that process, so I will, if I process, I will mark it this, I don't know, this type of message. For someone to configure that process or know why the hell it's there. No? So if you see that I have like 1A, 2A, this is a create client, and this is update. The one is the type of the message. The entity is like the main owner. So in this case, I want to process the creation of the message, then the update, and then the second update, and then the second update in a sequence way. But you know that I have the 1B and 2B. So I want also to process at the same time 1B and afterward 2B, because they are different entities. So I want to go sequence by entity. Okay? I can do that. So I have my port stopped. So let's enable. Let's go through BizTalk, and then you see that 2 messages were picked up. It's processing. Let's take a while. Second one is being used in processing. It's already integrated. And then only missing 2, no? Third. And then last one. I can actually improve my pooling, but yeah, done. Okay? In a sequence way, without any convoy, scaling, awesome for me. No? And if someone complains, hey Sandro, I didn't get the last update, no worries. Let me check, edit. This should be this one. New, yep. Processing, integrated. Sequence, re-entry, no. Let me check my BizTalk admin console. F5, always F5. Is there? No, nothing is there. No, nothing is live. My environment is clean. Okay. So sometimes you need to be smart. You need to think in a different way to implement these common patterns. Okay? It's not because I wrote in a mapping book that is the pattern that you need to use, you should follow. You need to think outside, and you need to think for yourself. So someone wrote a long time ago that singleton orchestration was the way to go. And now everything is following. So sometimes you need to be smart and say, no, I will do different ways, okay? And it actually can do and improve. Last lesson. BizTalk REST support. Who here is using REST in BizTalk? Sorry to tell you guys. Need support also. It's there. You can do good stuff there. You can do basic stuff there. If you want to really do stuff in a proper way, go and customize. Okay? For example, REST and optional parameters or query parameters, no? You cannot do in BizTalk. By default, you cannot, no? Be empty is not the same of being optional. Being empty is mandatory, but it can be empty. It's not optional. If I have 20 query parameters that I can have in REST, I don't want to be 20 empties. I want to be short, only the right data to be sent in the URL. And this is impossible to do. And you know that about resize windows in BizTalk? Yeah, we have it. They forgot to resize the important stuff. That is the binding, no? Yeah, thanks Microsoft again. You will see my email complaining about that. No, they are nice guys. They will do it in a feature pack 4. I know, for sure. Otherwise, I will be next year here telling the same story. So actually, I'm working in 5 minutes. Yeah. I'm working at the moment in a project that is most of them JSON to REST, REST to REST, JSON. Some case scenarios is like a pass-through, others are orchestrations inside, and we end up creating a lot of pipeline components in the receive side and in the send side. It's a smart proxy. Then we specify the catalog of the requests that we have inside SSO. So every request that comes from BizTalk, it goes to SSO. It has heavy cache implemented to be fast. We check if they are allowed to consume, and we have a static port on the send part with a dynamic behavior inside the pipeline component. Okay, why? Because it's crazy to create a dynamic port in a REST, man. It's crazy. The amount of work you have, it will fail. So you can actually create a static port, specify headers, security, whatever you want, and then in the pipeline say, this is a dynamic port, true, and then specify the URL, and then you can do awesome stuff with C#. No? You can actually create empty or optional parameters. You can modify the envelope. You can add headers. My solution is all about pipeline components and REST capabilities, and it's working like a charm. I have like 200 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds response time. And it's awesome. So if you complain about low latency with BizTalk, you are doing something wrong, because BizTalk is good also in low latency. Huh? Last question I asked to the community was, what's your favorite piece? And BizTalk is there. No, I was surprised. I was expecting more love from Service Bus. So is BizTalk, Logic App is gaining a lot of love. Functions. Someone bought flows also. It's great. Yeah, it was you, Ken, no? No, I actually also bought for flows. So I respond 2 times, flows and BizTalk. I love BizTalk, okay? It's a nice platform. You can use it of course, on premise. I will use it definitely on premise. I will extend my BizTalk to the cloud using Logic Apps. API Manager is an awesome tool. I can now expose my REST service or my SOAP service. When you expose a SOAP service to the cloud, you have this annoying network team saying I cannot open connections. Security, blah, blah, blah. Now I can expose to the API management. I don't need to talk again with these guys. Just need to configure the API management. I can expose my BizTalk service to the cloud. Okay? If I want to connect Salesforce, Dynamics CRM, SharePoint, I will use Logic App for sure. No? Logic App is good for many stuff, not for all. Not for all. API management is good for a lot of stuff, not for all. BizTalk is good for a lot of stuff, not for all. Okay, just be sure. And that's it. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the session.